Yo, hey, this shit easy, nigga. Hey, all I'm talking about, nigga, I'm still out here trying to get it.
Contender Regime Boxing checking back in with y'all, man. What's happening? How y'all doing? Happy Monday to everybody. So Danny Garcia possibly trying to use a little bit of reverse psychology on Errol Spence. Maybe trying to bait him into fighting a particular fight that may fall into the plans of Danny Garcia and give him a better chance of winning that fight, which is great gamesmanship. That's what you're supposed to do. You know, the fight is outside of the ring before you actually get it. Shout out to Jamil Charlo. He posted this on one of his Instagram posts this weekend. He said something to the effect of, when you're training leading up to the fight, 9 times out of 10 is 90% physical and 10% mental when you training and actually getting ready for the fight itself. But once you actually enter those ropes and it's time to get it on, it shifts. It's 90% mental and 10% physical. I like that. You know, but even right now, a couple of months before the fight, Danny Garcia is showing a little bit of gamesmanship. And Keith Thurman came out. He said this a little while ago, but he reiterated in talking about who he thinks would win between Errol Spence Jr. and Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia was very excited as to how that fight panned out, how successful Sean Porter was, the fact that Sean Porter, you know, did land some shots. He was able to get in close on Errol and have some success. And Danny basically saying, look, man, if that was me in there, I probably would have got Errol up out of there because I got way more power than Sean Porter. You know, and then if you listen to interviews leading up to this fight, Danny Garcia, the main thing that he's mentioning is power, power, power. You know, I can crack, I got power. And Danny Garcia can hit. He can definitely hit. And that's his calling card right now. You know, power timing, great counterpuncher, great timing. And he got big haymaker, big, you know, left hook, overhand right. He throws big punches and he's very accurate. So that's the main thing that he's been talking about is his power in this fight. He thinks that he's the hardest hitter at 147. And you know what? I think he has every right to believe that. Very, very powerful puncher. So with Errol Spence Jr., I believe that in the Sean Porter fight, he chose to fight the type of fight that he fought against Sean Porter. Now, could he have tried to box Sean Porter? Yes. Would that have been the best strategy to go with? In my opinion, I think he chose the right strategy. I think there was a little bit of both as far as with him saying, okay, look, since he think I want to get a knockout on Sean, since Sean don't think I'm going to stay right there and trade with him, I'm going to do that just to prove him that I can fight his game and be successful at it. I think it's a little bit of that. And then also, but I think it's even more so that Errol Spence knew that in order to beat Sean Porter, he going to have to fight that type of fight. Because when you try to box Sean Porter, when you try to fight on the back foot and you try to make it look pretty, it never fucking looks pretty. Kell Brook, in my opinion, had the best boxing performance versus Sean. Just pure boxing. And that fight was still ugly. It was still, what wasn't a split decision? I believe Kell Brook versus Sean Porter was a split decision. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. That was a very close fight. That shit came down to a couple of rounds. But Kell Brook had the best overall clean boxing performance, and that shit still was ugly. And it was due to Kell Brook's very, very accurate 1-2. And him being such a big, strong welterweight, being able to clinch on Sean when he wanted to, and being able to pop him with that 1-2. But that was, to me, that was the cleanest boxing performance that I ever seen versus Sean Porter. So it's not in your best interest to try to outbox Sean Porter, because it's going to be hard for you to get a decision because he in your face all night throwing a lot of punches. Even though sometimes he smothered his punches, he definitely going to smother a lot of your shit, and he going to make it ugly. You going to be the one going back, and he the one coming forward, and the judges going to give him some rounds. So if you ain't Floyd Mayweather, it's probably not in your best interest to try to outbox Sean. You're going to have to do what Keith Thurman did, which was stand toe-to-toe with Sean for most of the fight. You're going to have to do what Errol Spence did, which is stand toe-to-toe with Sean for most of the fight. Pretty much Errol did that shit all 12 rounds. They was at each other's front door all 12 rounds. There was a couple of rounds where Errol boxed a little bit, but for the most part, they was at each other's front door. You know what I'm saying? Mikey Garcia. A lot of people were saying, well, Mikey Garcia is the better boxer. He's more skilled than Errol Spence. Errol Spence, he's just a brawler. He's just a come forward brawler with power. He can't box. He has no skill, no technique. So I also think Errol went in that fight to show them, okay, look, motherfucker, I can box too. The hell you mean? I can box too. But I also think it was more so that being the correct strategy for Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia also a very, very skilled counterpuncher like Danny Garcia. Timing, some of the best in boxing. Distance control, some of the best in boxing. Got a mean ass 1-2 straight right down the pipe. Mean. Mikey Garcia, man, he wasn't top 5 pound for pound for nothing. That was the right strategy for Errol Spence to fight Mikey Garcia like he did. Boxing. You don't, even though Mikey's the smaller guy, you don't want to go out there trying to press the action on Mikey and then fuck around and get caught with some shit. Now you spending the rest of the fight, trying to get your lick back, trying to impress the judges. Now Mikey really, he counterpunching now. You playing into his game. He fighting the way he want to fight. He's setting you up for traps. You know what I'm saying? Now you overextending yourself. He's setting you up for traps. It was smart for Errol to go out there, use his length, use the jab, and box Mikey instead of him trying to go straight at him like that. I think he's going to have to fight Danny Garcia the same way. And I think Danny Garcia know that. I think Danny Garcia knows that if Errol Spence stay on the outside, box him, make this shit a clean, fundamental boxing masterclass, I think Danny Garcia understands that his chances of winning are very slim. But if he excites Errol Spence enough, I think he believes that he can play this reverse psychology game on Spence and be successful to get Errol to come in there and do something crazy and get caught with some shit. I also believe Errol could possibly go into this fight like, look, you know what I'm saying? I can prove to him that I can go forward to him, but I think Errol Spence is going to do the right thing and fight Danny Garcia and box Danny Garcia, which is the smart thing to do. But remember what I said. I think Errol will most likely win by unanimous decision if he gets the victory. But I also can see Errol Spence getting a stoppage later on in the fight. So he may have the opportunity to do both, to box Danny, and then later on in the fight, once Danny starts to fade a little bit, he can start going forward, just like Lamont Peterson did in the later rounds of that fight, and start really pressing the action on Danny. So in that case, he'll be able to make his point to show you, like, motherfucker, I can come forward and show you I got power too, but also use that boxing that we know that you can do. You know what I'm saying? That's probably going to be the best game plan for Errol Spence, to box early on and then slow in between rounds, be aggressive, and then slowly but surely, 8th, 9th, 10th round, start pressing that action, putting that guerrilla game down on it. You know what I'm saying? So Danny Garcia, he trying to pull a slick one. You know what I'm saying? He trying to get Errol Spence to get excited and go in there with something to prove. But, I believe that Errol Spence and Derrick James, they gonna do what's right. They gonna go in with the proper strategy, not just trying to prove something. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, man. Do y'all believe that Danny Garcia is trying to bait Errol Spence and use reverse psychology? Do you think Spence will fall for that? Or do you think Spence will do what he always do? Go in with the right game plan. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, man. Contender regime boxing. I'll holler at y'all boys, man.